The United States was suddenly plunged into a whirlwind, not by politics, but by a 5-day school trip to Singapore that left citizens across Arlasan City bewildered. Parents were in a frenzy, and national media outlets pondered what these Manhattan schoolgirls had possibly witnessed in Singapore that made them want their own country Singaporeized. No one had anticipated that a brief educational tour of the Lion City would so profoundly shake American public perception. The catalyst for this uproar was a series of videos uploaded by 26 female students from the Victory Onassis Academy, Manhattan's most prestigious private school. These videos rapidly went viral across social media platforms, and within 2 days, the hashtag Singapore in Our Eyes was trending. Tech journalists, cultural commentators, and even parents from various states debated the same question. Is Singapore really like that? In the teacher's lounge at Victory Onassis Academy, Clara W. Moore stared at his incessantly buzzing phone screen. Notifications popped up relentlessly. Interview requests from TV stations, urgent emails from the school board, and messages from eager parents wanting to know when the Singapore study tour could be rescheduled. Clara took a deep breath, a mix of exhaustion and pride washing over him. In his 18-year career as a history teacher and international programs coordinator, he had never witnessed a school trip generate such an immense buzz. He cast his mind back to the preparatory phase a year ago, when Singapore's name first emerged as a potential destination. Clara had faced the typical skepticism of Manhattan's Upper East Side parents, bankers, corporate lawyers, and renowned doctors, accustomed to sending their children to Paris, Tokyo, or Buenos Aires, rather than Southeast Asia. Is it safe? What will they learn there? These questions had resurfaced repeatedly during school committee meetings. Yet, Clara had persisted, determined that his students should experience a world broader than the global cities they had visited dozens of times. Now, seeing the young women showcasing their experiences, Clara felt his intuition had been gloriously vindicated. The viral videos depicted every facet of Singapore, many beyond the imagination of most Americans. Busy, yet orderly streets, immaculately clean public infrastructure, vibrant hawker centers and shopping districts that hummed with life until late into the night, and a general sense of safety that allowed the girls to walk through the city with unbridled enthusiasm. In one of the most popular clips, 3 girls stood laughing fearlessly on a brightly lit pavement in Orchard Road at 11 p.m., with the caption, "Safer than walking in Manhattan after dinner." The commentary from the American public was furious. Some expressed admiration, others extreme indignation, and many mocked their own municipal governments. Clara allowed himself a wry smile as he read the comments. If only people knew how surprised he himself had been during the trip, perhaps they would better understand why his students' videos had gone viral. He had visited over 35 countries, from France to Peru, and had always considered himself immune to culture shock. But Singapore, with its unexpected warmth, astonishing efficiency, and harmonious blend of cultures, had succeeded in shaking his long-held beliefs about modern urban standards. The commotion wasn't confined to the internet. At Victory Onassis Academy, the school office phones rang non-stop. Parents demanded that Singapore be reinstated as a mandatory destination for the following year. Some even suggested the school establish special partnerships with educational institutions in Singapore. The previously hesitant principal now eagerly anticipated Clara's presentation at the school's major assembly the following week. Clara turned off his phone screen and gazed out the window at Manhattan, bathed in a golden afternoon glow. But his thoughts had already drifted back to Singapore, a city he had only known for 5 days, yet which had left an impression as profound as if he had lived there for months. He knew the whole world wanted to understand what exactly had transpired on that trip. Perhaps, he thought, this was only the beginning of a much larger story. He leaned back in his chair, whispering to himself as if to affirm, if they saw what we saw there, they would surely understand why everything changed. And so Clara prepared to chronicle the full story that had captivated America, beginning with a brief visit to Singapore that they had never anticipated would be so momentous. As the aircraft smoothly descended into Singapore Changi Airport, the cabin screen displayed 23/7. From his window, Clara W. Moore saw a row of runway lights stretching like golden threads. He had no particular expectations for the airport at this late hour. Perhaps quiet, perhaps dim, like most large airports operating at half capacity in the dead of night. However, the moment the cabin doors opened, that assumption was instantly shattered. As their group stepped onto the aero bridge leading to Terminal 3, they were greeted by bright lights and impeccably clean spaces. The terminal hummed with a quiet energy, unlike an airport merely awaiting dawn. The polished marble floors gleamed, reflecting the light as if they had been buffed mere minutes ago. The schoolgirls exchanged glances, some instinctively pulling out their phones to record. "It's magical," one student, Lily, murmured. "This place looks brand new." Clara nodded in agreement. Even as an adult who had traversed dozens of airports worldwide, he found himself unable to stop looking around. There were no incessant public announcements, no long queues. Information desk staff stood ramrod straight, a radiant smile on their faces despite the approaching midnight hour. As their group approached the immigration area, an officer in a crisp uniform approached them. His name badge clearly read, Mr. Lim Zihao. With a friendly smile, he greeted them in fluent English. "Good evening, and welcome to Singapore. Victory Onassis Academy Group? Yes? Please follow me. We have prepared a special lane for you." Clara was almost startled. They hadn't requested any special arrangements. No confusion, no fuss. A dedicated immigration channel opened solely for their group. The girls looked at Clara, as if asking, "Is this normal in Singapore?" Clara could only raise an eyebrow. He had no answer himself. At the automated immigration gates, everything was easier than they had imagined. The screens supported multiple languages, including perfectly clear English. When a student encountered difficulty placing her passport, Mr. Lim swiftly came over, patiently guiding her without a hint of rush. No tired face, no indifferent attitude characteristics so typical of immigration officers in major nations. "All done," he said, gesturing for them to proceed. Clara checked his watch. Only 14 minutes had passed since they entered the immigration area. It was a new record for their school trips. The journey continued to the baggage claim. At JFK, Clara was accustomed to waiting over an hour, hoping his luggage wouldn't get lost in the chaos. But here, screens promptly displayed the status of their bags. Before long, suitcases appeared one after another, neatly arranged. "Is this normal here?" Sophie, another student, asked. Clara simply chuckled. "Apparently so." Outside the terminal, Singapore's warm and humid air enveloped them. A tourist bus was already waiting. The driver, Mr. Tan Boon Hui, bowed politely and welcomed them in English. The bus was clean and fragrant, its seats plush, as if newly installed. The ride to the hotel opened a new chapter for the girls' curiosity. Outside, the expressways they passed were brightly lit even after midnight. Vehicles moved rhythmically, without the sense of threat they often felt returning to Manhattan after 10 p.m. As the bus entered the city proper, the next surprise unfolded. Convenience stores were still brightly lit and operating, customers leisurely sitting inside. Women walked alone, unhurried. Such a sight in New York would be considered a luxury, fraught with danger. Here, it seemed a normal part of urban life. Clara observed his students' faces, now pressed against the windows, captivated by Singapore's seemingly timeless nightlife. They weren't seeing a foreign city. They were seeing a city that seemed to welcome them with open arms. The journey had lasted less than an hour, but Clara felt the very essence of the trip had already shifted. The expectations brought from New York were now gradually crumbling, replaced by a greater sense of wonder. If this was just the beginning, Clara mused, what else would they discover tomorrow? And so, their Singaporean experience turned a new page. When Clara W. Moore was awakened by a sharp knock on his hotel room door, the digital clock read 5 a.m. He groggily opened the door to find 3 students, Lily, Sophie, and Marlon, standing there, looking tired but ravenously hungry. "Mr. Moore, we're starving," Sophie whispered, clutching her stomach. Clara then realized that for bodies accustomed to the New York time zone, jet lag made 5 a.m. in Singapore feel like a belated dinner. The problem was, he had no idea if anywhere would be open for food so early. After reassuring the students, Clara descended to the lobby to inquire with the receptionist. The young woman at the counter smiled and gave a slight bow. "Yes, sir," she said in clear English. "There's a traditional hawker stall that opens before dawn, just 2 minutes walk away." Clara could barely believe it. Finding anything comparable and authentic at 5 a.m. in Manhattan was practically impossible. Yet, here, the city seemed to awaken even before sunrise. He returned to his floor, gathering 7 other restless students. Together, they stepped into the warm pre-dawn glow of Singapore. The sky was still dusky, but the streets were already bustling with joggers, workers preparing for the day, and aunties calmly setting up their breakfast stalls. A quiet yet vibrant rhythm of life filled the air. Soon, they found the stall, a simple, clean signboard with Uncle Tan's traditional noodle stall written on it. Steam wafted from a large pot, releasing the enticing aroma of rich broth. Several local patrons sat leisurely, engrossed in their phones, as if this was a morning ritual that had never changed. An older woman with an apron, Uncle Tan's wife, broke into a radiant smile as she saw the group of foreigners approaching. "Good morning," she chirped, then added in simple English, "Want noodles?" Clara nodded. "Yes, please, 7 bowls." Auntie Tan immediately sprang into action. In no time, steaming bowls of fishbowl noodles, garnished with spring onions, fried shallots, and tender fish balls, were placed before them. The girls eyed the bowls with genuine curiosity. Lily was the first to taste. A spoonful went into her mouth, and her eyes widened. "Oh my God, this is incredible!" she exclaimed, her voice hushed but filled with awe. The other students followed suit, and within minutes, the bowls were empty, not a single drop left. Clara took a few sips, nodding in approval. There was a calming simplicity to the dish, a warmth that couldn't be bought in Manhattan's expensive restaurants. When it came time to pay, Clara was almost shocked. 7 generous bowls of noodles plus drinks cost less than $30, about $20. He watched Auntie Tan count out the change, her genuine smile never wavering. And he quietly said, "Thank you, Auntie." That smile was authentic, not feigned, and it left the girls momentarily silent, filled with an unspoken warmth. On their way back to the hotel, they passed a 7-Eleven convenience store. Several students wanted snacks, so Clara decided to pop in for a moment. The moment the automatic glass doors slid open, a blast of cool air and the comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee and steamed dim sum hit them. The shelves were neatly organized, overflowing with a dizzying array of goods. The store felt cleaner and more orderly than most convenience stores Clara had visited in the US. A young staff member, Maya, greeted them with a friendly smile. "Good morning, welcome. How can I help you?" she said, in more fluent English than Clara had expected. The girls rushed towards the beverage aisle, amazed by the sheer variety. Bubble teas, iced jasmine teas, local yogurt drinks, and flavors they had never encountered. They ended up buying several, mostly out of curiosity. Near the checkout, Lily noticed a multifunctional service kiosk. "Mr. Moore," she exclaimed, "you can pay your electricity bills, buy tickets, and even send parcels here." Clara read the menu on the screen, nodding in impressed admiration. "Apparently so," he murmured. The payment process was swift, the cashier friendly, and there were no suspicious glances despite them being tourists. Everything felt effortless. As they stepped out of the store, the sun began to rise behind the iconic Marina Bay Sands complex. Clara paused, looking around. People moved unhurriedly, small shops were already opening, the streets were clean, and the morning air carried the scent of a city confidently beginning its day. He realized something profound. In New York, 24-hour convenience often meant risk or exorbitant cost. In Singapore, it felt like a natural, inherent part of life, part of the city's pulse. The girls walked ahead of him, excitedly discussing the noodles, the local drinks, and the genuine hospitality of Auntie Tan and Maya. Clara smiled to himself. Those simple interactions that morning, without luxury or pretension, had given them a profound first impression of this nation. This was the warmth of Singapore, Clara thought. And it was only the first morning. Day 2 began with clear skies and students buzzing with energy from early morning. Clara noticed this enthusiasm, particularly in Lily, the most curious student, who had been peppering him with questions about the city since yesterday. Today, Lily seemed most eager to experience something they had often seen in videos: the Singapore MRT. As their group entered the station, Clara heard a near-simultaneous gasp of admiration. The station was as clean as a hotel lobby, the floors gleaming without a speck of dirt or chewing gum residue. The walls were pristine, the air cool, and devoid of the damp smell or metallic clangor of the New York subway. "This is unreal," Lily whispered, snapping photos. As they descended to the platform, another sight struck them. The queues were orderly. Singaporeans patiently stood behind the yellow boarding lines, and no one pushed or cut ahead even as the train pulled into the station. Electronic display boards showed arrival times down to the second. The moment the digital countdown hit 0, the doors opened. "Exactly on time, really," Marlon exclaimed, astonished. The atmosphere inside the carriage was equally comfortable. Dark blue priority seats and lighter blue regular seats were neatly arranged. Passengers discreetly made space for their group. What surprised the girls most was that even as the train plunged into underground tunnels, the network connection remained seamless. "Mr. Moore, even our school's Wi-Fi sometimes drops out," Lily complained playfully as she uploaded photos. Clara just chuckled, finding no better answer. Their next stop brought them to the Singapore Botanic Gardens. A vast expanse of urban greenery stretched beneath the blue sky, featuring lush trees, manicured lawns, and impeccably maintained jogging paths. Singaporeans had already claimed the area, some jogging, others practicing Tai Chi, doing calisthenics, or simply playing with their children on the grass. Clara noticed how the girls were captivated by these clean, free, and well-utilized public amenities. In the US, similar facilities often came with high fees or were frequently in disrepair. An elderly man exercising on the park's outdoor fitness equipment inspired Lily to try it herself. Though his English was limited, the old man, with a friendly smile and gestures, explained how it worked. Lily followed suit, and the other students laughed at this warm, small attempt at communication. "This city feels so alive," Lily murmured, "and yet, somehow, peaceful." In the afternoon, they proceeded to Marina Bay Sands, one of Singapore's iconic landmarks. From the outside alone, the colossal structure, resembling a ship perched atop 3 towers, looked futuristic and awe-inspiring. Inside, the girls fell silent, awed by the dazzling lights, the luxurious interior design, and the orderly flow of people. It felt more modern and refined than typical American shopping malls. Clara's next destination was a large bookstore nearby, Kinokuniya, located within Engay City. He wanted to show them something tourists rarely saw: the reading culture of Singapore's younger generation. Sure enough, the bookstore was bustling with students, university-goers, and office workers, all quietly standing or sitting on the floor, engrossed in books. "People here actually read," Marlon muttered, wide-eyed. Clara smiled. He was witnessing firsthand how literary spaces coexisted with modern commerce, exuding an air of quiet optimism. Afterward, they stopped at a local lifestyle and skincare boutique. The girls expected ordinary products, but a staff member, named Chloe Tan, who was also a contemporary batik artist, served them with a high level of professionalism. She explained the product ingredients, local botanical extracts, and even Singaporean design trends. "Your products are surprisingly good," Sophie remarked after trying a sample. Chloe smiled proudly. "We improve every year. Singapore has many creative industries developing rapidly." That conversation opened the girls' eyes to the flourishing local industries. In the evening, they headed to Gillman Barracks, a contemporary arts cluster Clara had chosen to showcase Singapore's creative side. Upon entering, they were greeted by renovated colonial buildings, ambient indie music emanating from cafes, and a group of young people dressed in uniquely stylish attire. While street performers are less common in such a curated space, a small gallery was showcasing student art, and a pop-up market featured artisan crafts. At one booth, a young man demonstrated a pair of modern, Peranakan-inspired earrings. He was Chloe's artist friend, it turned out, and continued to pursue his art. Lily and her friends bought several pieces, impressed by the fusion of traditional culture and contemporary design. In another corner, a caricature artist, Mr. Lee, offered quick portrait sketches. One student sat down, and within minutes, Mr. Lee had produced an incredibly artistic drawing that drew applause from the whole group. The environment felt safe, brightly lit, and creatively charged, like a public space that nurtured young talent. Clara watched the girls stand for a long time, absorbing the energy of the place, as if they had just discovered something important. As they walked back to the MRT station, Lily whispered, "Mr. Moore, I feel like this city has a soul. A modern soul, but a very warm one." Clara looked at his student and nodded. Singapore was more than just modern. It was alive. Its young generation was the pulse shaping the city's new face. The last day always arrived too soon. Clara W. Moore felt it that morning as he drew open the curtains of his hotel room, allowing Singapore's warm sunlight to stream in. But there was a melancholy he couldn't ignore. Today, they had to go home. He knew the girls weren't ready to leave Singapore. Their first agenda was a visit to Design Orchard, a retail space showcasing high-quality local designer products. From handcrafted jewelry to clothing, everything felt like a living, breathing, cultural museum. The girls were immediately drawn to modern batik patterns, elegant tea sets adorned with orchid motifs, and the aromatic array of Singaporean high-mountain teas that filled the air. The store assistants greeted them politely, always patiently, explaining each product, from the history of tea processing to how to care for clay pottery. Clara noticed that the girls, who usually grew bored quickly while shopping, were this time focused and enjoyed the process of selecting souvenirs. Sophie Langford, the most emotional student in the group, held up a piece of deep blue indigo-dyed fabric. "This reminds me of the serene nights in Singapore," she murmured, deciding to buy it without hesitation. From Design Orchard, they headed to two iconic cultural sites, Tian Hock Keng Temple and the adjacent historic street in Chinatown. Clara himself had seen pictures, but standing before this century-old temple in person gave a different feeling. The girls walked cautiously through the temple grounds, captivated by the intricate carvings, the curling incense smoke, and the peaceful religious atmosphere. Their guide explained the inclusive spirit here, where Buddhist and Taoist deities coexisted harmoniously. As they stepped out of the temple to see the modern city right next to it, Sophie seemed to rub her eyes. "It's beautiful," she stammered. "Not just the architecture, but the message it conveys." Clara deeply empathized. In a world often fraught with identity conflicts, this sense of harmony between tradition and modernity, between different faiths, felt like hope. That afternoon, they journeyed to Changi Airport. The bus moved slowly, as if time itself had decelerated. The atmosphere inside the bus was quiet. The girls took one last look at Singapore's streets, buildings, bridges, and roadside trees. Everything felt like a memory fragment they wished to preserve forever. Upon reaching the airport, Clara realized the battle to hold back tears was just beginning. As luggage was unloaded and boarding passes prepared, the girls approached him one by one. "Mr. Moore, can we come back?" Sophie's voice was choked. Clara squeezed the girl's shoulder. "I hope so. I really do." As they walked towards the boarding gate, several girls turned back, taking photos of the modern, pristine terminal. They didn't want to forget anything about this trip. When the plane took off and Singapore's lights dwindled below, soft sobs could be heard from several seats. Clara closed his eyes, allowing the memories of the past few days to replay like a movie in his mind. 2 days later, the plane landed in New York. The cold Manhattan air greeted them, a stark contrast to Singapore's warmth. At the arrival gate, parents waited anxiously, their faces quickly shifting to expressions of astonishment as their children excitedly recounted their extraordinary experiences in Singapore. "They have Wi-Fi in their subway tunnels, and people can walk safely at night. Can you imagine? You should see their MRT, it's cleaner than our airport." Clara watched as the parents fell silent, unprepared for such positive and admiring stories. Days later, the commotion began. The videos the girls had uploaded during their trip went viral across various social media platforms in the US. Netizens compared Singapore's infrastructure to the current state of major American cities. Some were admiring, some furious. But what was most surprising were the hundreds of comments asking, why can't America offer public services as good as Singapore's? Victory Onassis Academy also received a deluge of requests for a Singapore study program next year. Previously hesitant parents now demanded the school turn its gaze towards Asia. Principal Zhao called Clara for a special meeting. "We want you to host a seminar about Singapore," he said. "The posters haven't even gone up, and the auditorium is already fully booked." On the day of the seminar, the 3-story auditorium was indeed packed. Clara shared his observations on Singapore's efficiency, warmth, hospitality, modern transportation, public spaces, and the city's atmosphere that had transformed his students' worldview. Surprisingly, after the seminar, dozens of new students signed up for Mandarin classes. Some even began tracking Singaporean pop music and movies they discovered from recommendations by the recently returned students. That evening, at home, Clara sat by the window gazing at Manhattan. His thoughts drifted back to their first morning in Singapore, to Auntie Tan's warm welcome, to the marvel of the MRT, to the subtle artistry at Gilman Barracks, and to the tears his students shed leaving that city. He smiled faintly. Singapore had changed them, he thought, and perhaps, without realizing it, it had changed him too.